So you know who loves playing dominoes? Rybomom. And guess who's got a birthday in early April? Also Rybomom. Rybodad was looking on Amazon for some cool molds for my videos because I have a very wholesome and supportive family, and he said, yo, I found these domino molds that your mom would love, and they really do look nice. They're very smooth, and I said, okay, well, yeah, let's make it for her birthday. It's coming up. And so we're going to make some resin dominoes for Rybomom. We're going to start using Envirotex light resin. It's a 1:1 by volume resin mixture, and her favorite color is blue. So we're going to make a very transparent part of the domino and then a more opaque backing because Rybomom cheats at tabletop games, and this will help prevent her from doing so. So I'm going to use some ocean green alcohol ink. That will give us a nice light color and a ton of drops of this iridescent glitter or liquid glitter. You don't want to overdo it because if so, the resin won't cure properly, but that was looking good, but not exactly the blue I was going for. So I use a toothpick on this ultramarine blue so I can control exactly how much goes in here because a little goes a long way. And after mixing it up, it was kind of looking like anime water, which is exactly what I was going for, a very, very light blue. Now you could easily just pour this resin on top of the molds. They're open face molds. You could pop any surface bubbles with the lighter, but it's Rybomom. We got to make sure that it goes all out and that these are the best dominoes possible. So we're going to take this vacuum chamber that we've used in many, many videos before and degas the resin or pull all the bubbles out of the resin. This will make sure that the mixture is 100% crystal clear. Since it's transparent, we don't want those bubbles in there. It doesn't really matter as far as balancing is concerned. These aren't dice. They don't matter if they're weighted or not, but it's going to look a lot better if there are no bubbles inside. So as the vacuum chamber is going, it's time to set up the mold. Done. Open face molds are super easy to set up. All you have to do is make sure that it's on a level surface and you should have no issues at all. And that's what I have this table here for. And so the mold's ready to go and all we have to do is pour this resin in. After the bubbles start looking like this, you're pretty much good to go as far as degassing or vacuum chambering up your resin. And again, you don't have to do this at all. Just pop any surface bubbles with a lighter that show up, but you can see why I wanted to do it. It almost removed all of the bubbles and now all you see is the sparkly bits. I'm going to pour it back into a Dixie cup because I can kind of pinch it and make a little makeshift spout. It makes it really easy to pour in molds like this and not have any resin accidentally drip into locations that I just don't want that resin to go. I speak from experience. I fill up these molds about 2/3 of the way. I want to leave a very small backing part that's going to be opaque so that you can't see through. If you were to fill up these molds entirely, I'd say it takes about 10 to 11 ounces of resin to make a full set of dominoes. I'll put a link in the description down below to this exact mold in case you want to try and do this at home. You can wait for the resin to fully cure, or if you're impatient, you can maybe wait 5 or 6 hours until it's at a jelly consistency and mix up another batch of resin to pour on the top. Again, we're going to stick with the blue theme, and so I'm going to add some blue mica powder from Mad Micas into the resin. I add, who knows, amount to the resin because it doesn't really matter as far as coverage. It's enough to make it opaque, and that's what I care about. I'm going to do the same thing that I did before, degas it. This is extra not needed because it is just an opaque set, so you might not even see bubbles, but this way I don't have to worry about popping any surface bubbles because there's just no bubbles in the mixture. This layer of resin I pour a little bit more meticulously than the last. I try and pour it all directly from the center so that if there is any pattern that develops from the mica powder on the back, hopefully it looks the same on all of the domino pieces. I kind of want them all to look pretty darn uniform, so I try and pour just directly from the center and go very, very slowly. I want them to be a little bit rounded on the top, so I try and use the surface tension and over pour. You know, like that science experiment where you learned about surface tension by pouring water on top of a quarter? That's what I tried to do on all of these. Though I did overdo it a little bit because after these had fully cured, you can see some of them just overlapped and caused a whole mess or had some weird shapes on the edges. And so that was a bad idea. Probably shouldn't have done that, but oh well, there's always ways to fix things like this. Let's take a look at the domino as a whole and see if we like it. And boy, yes, I do. It is so shiny on the front and opaque on the back. The numbers, or little dots, I guess in this case, look like they float, which is what I hope that the numbers do. And so I was really happy with the overall look of these dominoes, even though we're going to have to break apart some of these ones that had resin go from one to the next. And hopefully we can fix them up by sanding them and making them look just as good as the ones that didn't have any problems. So only about half of them were pretty darn good and overall usable, so I would say that my pouring is not something you should necessarily follow. Maybe don't do the surface tension thing like I did, because there's a lot of cleanup to do on these dominoes. If they're still soft enough, you can try and just cut off the edges to get them nice and flush, and then we can go about sanding them to get them really, really smooth and looking exactly like the other ones. Hopefully you won't even be able to tell the difference. I'm going to take a flat surface like a piece of glass and use some Zona sanding papers or polishing papers to try and mimic the original dominoes that look good and don't have these weird edges. I don't need to go through all of the grits though, because these dominoes aren't exactly glass-like shiny, so we're only going to go until we get to this kind of pink colored grit here. That mimicked the overall smoothness of the rest of the dominoes, and hey, if it's a little bit off, luckily this is a gift to my mom and she's way too nice to say anything, so we can skirt by on that. I originally planned on coloring the numbers with a gemstone blue, but ended up choosing gold. I know, but it is going to look really, really good for these dots. It's going to be a very nice contrast to the blue, so you can see the dots very easily and tell exactly how many dots are on each side, because normal dominoes are black and white, and so we want to try and mimic that kind of contrast. We're going to do the same thing we normally do with dice and just wipe off the excess paint, and if there's too much, you can always use some alcohol on a tissue to clean up the rest. And man, these are looking so good. I honestly don't remember if I've ever actually played dominoes the proper way, so I hope that that's a skill that my mom can share with me. You know, Rybomom's just such a nice lady. I love her so much. She's so dang kind. She deserves this gift.
Hey, just checking if my little man needs a snack.
Mom, what are you doing? Get out of my room. I'm making a video.
Okay, just checking. I'm sorry. I'll let you do your little video.
Some privacy would be nice. Happy birthday, by the way.
Thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring this video, and if you haven't heard of Skillshare, they're an online learning community with thousands of inspiring classes in case you love learning or just want to expand your creativity. I've been dipping my toe into game development lately, and so I find Skillshare is a great way to get started and learn something pretty quickly. So if you're interested in using it to help kind of make a career pivot or just level up your own skills, maybe you're an entrepreneur or a freelancer, you can start a whole new career with skills that you learn through Skillshare. Their entire catalog also has subtitles in Spanish, French, Portuguese, German, so there's no real barrier for you to learn, and you can just get into learning because it's ad-free, and they launch new classes every single week. I'm a hobby hopper, so I like to learn a lot of things very quickly, and so I really enjoyed this class on game development for absolute beginners by Diego Herrera. I'm still not finished with it, but I'm enjoying what I've had so far. So let's help each other out, because the first 1,000 people to use the link in my description box or my code Rybonator will get a 1-month free trial to Skillshare. Again, thank you to Skillshare. Now let's get back to the dominoes, because man, are these some pretty dominoes. I've never seen dominoes that aren't either black and white or wood with some black dots on them, so I was really, really happy with how these turned out. The dots kind of float, the transparency is very shiny and glittery, the opaque blue looks good, and it's pretty much the same on all of them. They even look great all stacked up, and so I think Rybomom's gonna really, really love this gift, or at least she will tell me so and lie to me because she's a parent and she's nice like that. But we also have to roll them and see how they sound. You know, there are no dice on the table, but they still sound pretty cool, and tradition is tradition, and tradition demands that we roll whatever we create on this channel on the table. And so I don't think Rybomom will be too upset because it is tradition. Also, she likes antiques, and now I can call these gently worn. So I hope that she likes them, but if you think I'm just giving her dominoes, you got another thing coming. She's also getting a cardboard box to stow them in, and if you think this cardboard box is just a silly little addition, no, you're very wrong. This all fits in here absolutely perfectly, 100% calculated, not luck at all, but it actually does fit so darn good. I was really surprised because even if you shake them around, no domino moves out of place. It is the perfect dimension, and I was very, very happy with this box. But again, if you thought I was just going to put it in a box, you're absolutely wrong. This is a gift to the Rybomom. Rybonator's channel doesn't just give things in cardboard boxes. No, we don't do that here. We put things in gold boxes because that's how gifts are meant to be made. Also, she gets a blue ribbon because she likes blue. Rybomom is probably one of the kindest people on this earth, and so I hope that she truly enjoys this gift and all of the packaging that goes into making the gift look special. Huge thanks to Rybo Dad for pointing out the Domino's mold, because I would not have thought of that. This is probably one of the better gifts I've ever given her, so I hope it makes up for any bad ones I gave her as a kid. Love you, Rybomom. And love all of you for sticking around to the end of the video. Consider subscribing if you might want to see some more stuff like this in the future. And if you've ever made or received a handmade gift that really meant a lot for you, write that in the comments down below. Rybomom loves reading wholesome stuff, and so do I, and so that would really make both of our days. Like the video if you like it, dislike the video if you dislike it. I'll still want to hear that too. Either way, I hope that you have a fantastic day.